Welcome, everybody, to the Heart of Vermont podcast. My name is Paul Doski, and holy crap, has it been a day. With technology not wanting to do a damn thing, and it's going to be the end of everything of technology before we know it, if my computer doesn't go through the window first. Anyway, without further ado, joining me on this conversation is my other half, Tessa. Say hello.
Hello.
And then finally, our special guest of the evening is the lovely Melaney, Pettini, right?
Yeah.
All right. And she has came to talk to us about her lovely business called Wings of Sin. So, Melaney, welcome aboard.
Thank you. Very happy to be here.
Yeah, I think we're all happy to, I don't know, be that this, you know what? Just never mind. Yeah, we're just all happy. We're just going to, Jesus Christ, what a day. Anyway, Melanie, so I just want to start off by saying I remember one day on Instagram, with notifications, I saw like Wings of Sin followed me on Instagram under the Haunted Vermont thing, and I was checking you out. I thought like you were like a local artist, if I can say that, basically for like your own clothing line. So talk to Tessa and I about your Wings of Sin.
Okay, so God, this year is my 18th year of doing it. And basically, I'm considered a micro business because it's just me. I'm the only one. And I hand make everything that I do. It's all clothing and accessories, some jewelry. I'm kind of branching out a little bit right now into home goods. And it's all very like flowy. I call it goth witch, It's like cozy and it's nature based. And it's pretty dark.
Right up my alley.
Yeah.
There's some also like folklore to it too.
Yeah, so I like to base it on, I grew up, I really love, I'm very much nature obsessed, the spirits of the land. I love folklore. I love all things supernatural. And I wanted to make sure that I incorporated into my business what I love. So I love sewing and I love these things as well. So I put those together and created, all the clothing kind of tells stories, or they pay like respect to the spirits of the land, to the different deities that I love, or the different stories that I love. And I'm hoping that, other people will recognize that and appreciate it, because it's a little bit different than you would normally get in most like goth clothing attire.
Perfect. Now, so I guess continuing with that being said too. So anyway, last year, oh God, I'm probably gonna butcher when it was. I want to say it was like October 5th. I think I know it was like really early October.
But anyway, October 5th. Good memory.
Spellbound market.
I'm good at that sometimes. And anyway, Vermont was doing their new thing called Spellbound Market. It was the first try of this, I guess. They didn't know how well it was going to take off, and it took off very well because I even had trouble getting out of the damn parking space of Rotary Park. So that was not really fun. And anyway, it was such a blast that as I was walking and Tessa being on the video call while I was trying to basically...
I got a video tour.
A video tour, video shopping experience, as we were all... making a joke about it. Anyway, so I probably went by like 3 or 4 times, and I just happened to look over and to see Wings of Sin, and I'm like, oh my God, why does that sound familiar? And then I went on Instagram and I like looked up Wings of Sin on there, and I noticed that you were following the page, and I was just like, oh my God, like this is why. So it was a pleasure to finally meet you, Melaney.
Absolutely, yeah. Yeah, I was excited when I first found your podcast that there was something like this going on in Vermont. So
yeah, well, I got an interesting story to mention with this too, but within this week. But anyway, yeah, it's fun, but yeah, it was just I don't really get a chance to really meet that many people. But the fact that you were nearby for once, like doing this event kind of thing, it was just like I like the experience when I can actually meet somebody that actually follows or whatever that's into the same stuff. And anyway, it's just always just a pleasure to connect and network as you're trying to do here, because we'll get into in a little bit too. But yeah, so Tessa, is there anything that you would like to start off with, Melaney?
Well, I got to meet you via video. I would have loved to have met you in person because you seem like such a chill person and really nice and everything. And I love like your art, your style and everything. And I was actually really curious about a lot of your things, and I'm like, oh man, like I could easily blow so much money at her shop because everything is just so beautiful. And I'm very much into nature and all things dark and all that. Paul can attest to that. I'll show you some of my home decor I'm after, and you'll be like, oh my God. But it's just really, really cool to meet someone who's into like a lot of the same stuff that I'm into. Granted, I can't sew, but I want to. But I just think it's very cool. So is it the folklore that inspired your art, like the dark and the nature that inspired it?
Yeah, I mean, I'll say I started sewing when I was 8 years old. My grandmother got me sewing lessons. And ever since I was a child, so around the same time, I'm originally from Connecticut, and I grew up in the woods. And I spent all this time just exploring the woods and talking. Like I'm very much obsessed with like the stories of Fae and stuff like that. So I spent all this time growing up talking to the Fae, meeting all these different little animals and woodland spirits, and it never went away. I never grew up and was like, this isn't real. Like I always have strongly felt a deep connection with that. And then 18 years ago when I started Wings of Sin, I started doing, I guess you kind of see them via prints, like the textile prints using the bleach and stuff like that. And I just was like, what do I want to represent with that? And it was, first and foremost, it was the Morrigan. And it just kind of branched out from there with different dark stories that I know and just everything that was me, I want to put into it, if that makes sense.
Oh, it makes perfect sense.
Yeah. So it's like what
you wanted everything that makes you reflected in your art. You wanted people to be able to wear a piece of your art, which is essentially a piece of you, you know. Mm-hmm. So I completely get that because I think through creativity, whether it be through making things or creating a space for yourself, that it should be a reflection of who you are. And I can definitely see that in your art. And I think it's very beautiful. It's very mysterious. It's very like whimsical in a dark sense, you know. And I really appreciate things like that. I really think that you have done such an amazing job, and just taking your childhood and carrying it up with you and having it be a reflection in your art it's pretty incredible, actually, because a lot of people, you're very welcome. A lot of people forget that part of themselves when they're little. They lose touch with that part of themselves, and it's just nice to see that you're still very much in touch with that part of yourself, and you've brought it with you, and you refuse to let it go. You know,
I started actively practicing as a witch when I was 12 years old, and it's just been a huge driving part of my life. So this is also a reflection of that as well.
Oh, she's really going to like my decorum then.
I mean, I already loved that apothecary shelf that you were painting, so.
Yeah, it's just one of those things that I kind of do sometimes. Like, I find a lot of free things,
Hmm.
and a lot of it looks like a little worse for the wear when I first come across it. And I'm like, well, what can I do to this piece to essentially give it new life, you know, or resurrect it, you know, or something to that effect. So a lot of the stuff that's actually in my home, excuse me, is free stuff that I've come across and I've just essentially turned into art.
That's one of my favorite things to do.
It's so much fun, isn't it? It really is. It's such a great outlet for me, honestly, and I love doing it. And Paul honestly loves watching me be creative. It's one of the things that he loves is when I'm actually really creative, and I put a lot of my craft into my decorum. Like, my whole apartment is a reflection of me. And like I said, I'll show you after we're done here, because I think if we were to do it on record or whatever, the whole audience or whatever would be blown away. But I work with Hecate, I work with Lilith, I work with Persephone, a little bit with Medusa and stuff like that, essentially dark goddesses. And I have done some reading on the Morgan, right?
Yeah.
And I find her interesting as well. But, I just think that it's just really awesome to come across somebody who is into the same kind of stuff that you are. And you can kind of bounce off each other, which is nice. But let's get back to you, because I could literally just sit here and just talk to you about all this stuff and just.
Yeah, then going back real quick, Melanie, you just actually sparked an interesting little statement there saying dark stories. Now, these dark stories, are they like, I guess, are they like related to Vermont in a way, like the stories from here, or are they like from like a different type of mythology or something? Like, what do you mean by that?
Stories from back home in Connecticut?
All of the above. So, I definitely, like I said, I have a connection to the Fae, and not like, everyone's got their idea of what fairies are. I'm not talking about little sparkly things like that.
We're not talking about Tinkerbell.
Yeah, I'm talking about like the people of the mountains, like the dark, scary, or not, they're not always scary, but like the earthier kind of spirits like that. So growing up, I was very much intrigued by, like, my favorite lore would be like different Celtic stories, because they're always so, I don't know, they're usually pretty tragic and beautiful, and they have a lot of different dark lore in them. So that was a big influence. Being in Connecticut, I've lived in quite a few different states. It's one of the most haunted places I have ever lived in my life. There are spirits everywhere there. I mean, there's spirits everywhere, but that was the most like intense things I've ever had happen to me was there. But then in Vermont, I've been here for about 20 years, and I lived in Huntington for about a decade, and that was probably the most intense place I've ever been in Vermont. There's a lot of really wild and dark things happening out in those woods. I lived in a log cabin that had, I don't know how much you want me to go into actual stories, but I lived in this log cabin out in the Hanksville part, and every day was something new there. There were, I mean, we're talking the shadow people alone that would come out just regularly. And I mean, I had people that would come out to my house that were absolutely like atheists, didn't believe in anything like that, and they would ask me to walk them to their car because it was too scary out there. So that was a fun 10 years living there. But yeah, so it's all been very much influenced. All my dark stories are definitely things I've read as well as real life supernatural kind of dark things going on. I'm definitely one of those people that starts a lot of sentences with saying, I know this sounds crazy, but and then I've got a scary story.
That's fair enough. No, I'm just asking because I think one of your product, or should I say stencils, I want to say was like I mean, I don't know if it would be the correct way, but to me, it would almost be like almost like a representation of a Wendigo or something, unless that's not what it's supposed to be. Like with the the deer head with the antlers, or unless it was something else. But like, I don't know if that's like what you're trying to represent with that design. For I know, the Wendigo is the only thing that really comes to my mind. But then like you have other stuff too that basically says what's like witchiness, and then you got like the hat that I got, which is spider and stuff like that. So I guess what I'm trying to get at is like I know you were saying the stuff that you love and like the folklore and stuff you try to incorporate into your product. So I guess like what I'm trying to maybe ask is like, so for each design or stencil, that it like in a way represent like some sort of symbolism to you, I guess, for what.
Every single one of them does. Like the one that you're talking about, the deer skull, that one actually is a design from an artist named Sean Fitzgerald in Ireland. We met each other via social media like a long time ago, and I always really admired his artwork because he does like a lot of album covers for like metal bands and punk bands and stuff like that, but he always incorporates like kind of Celtic imagery. So I asked him specifically to do something in his style that he thought reflected Wings of Sin. And that was kind of the creation that he did for that. That one's one of my favorite pieces that I have. And then like the spider, for that, I work a lot with animal spirits in the form of magic that I practice. And the spider is one of the ones that's been there with me a lot. So that's an imagery that I like to use, as well as the crows are pretty much the most commonly used thing in my store. Those are important to me.
Well, the crows are basically like messengers, if I remember right, right? Like they're like messengers and watchers per se. So, can you remind me what the spider is supposed to represent?
Spider is wisdom. I mean, it has a lot of different meanings, but for me, I've always used it as wisdom and kind of, I mean, it's weaving a web. So it's like fate and destiny and things like that. It's creation. It can have a lot of different, depending on what you're working with specifically for it. But I often use it for like creative ideas.
Okay.
Because they're an artist.
Yeah. Trying to think if there was something else. I think you had like a wolf one, and if I remember right, that was the one where that I was kind of eyeballing, and I think I said if you found a stencil small enough for a hat, I think is what he asked. If you ever could make it small enough for that or something, maybe to just reach out and let me know. I think that's what it was anyway.
Proud about that. Yes, that's right. I can always make the stencil smaller.
Yeah. Oh, good. Yeah. Speaking of products, since we kind of mentioned a few designs anyway. So for people that are listening to the audio, we will do our best to try to describe the product that Melaney is showing us, or Melaney can at least do a great job of describing her product versus people that may be watching this on video. So, Melaney, if you wouldn't mind, can you just give us a couple ideas for the video people and just for the audio people, just to kind of describe like what you have to show us to help represent what Wind of Sin is basically with your clothing?
I can do that. All right, I got some right behind me here. So this one's kind of a crop top sort of thing. I specialize in very, like I said before, very loose and flowy clothes. So you kind of wear this layered over something and it drapes. I like things that are comfortable and flattering. Goth clothes, great, but I just can only wear so many corsets. I want soft and cozy 95% of the time. So that's what these kind of things are. And I do dye removal with all of my items, whether it's the more splattered look like this one or the cleaner screen printed look. It's both dye removal. So I use decolorant instead of ink on this, and it takes the dye out of the fabric, and it's probably hard to see, but let's see if I can get it closer. It gives it kind of a like a marbly sort of look. So it's not just like solid ink. It gives it like almost a little extra dimension. That's that one.
I was actually just looking at that one on your site.
Yeah, it's one of my favorite summer ones. I usually wear it like layered over like a fitted dress or something like that, and then it's just kind of like adds a little something extra.
Yeah, it's your high-low triple moon loose crop top.
That's the one. I should say these names. Thank you for saying that.
You're welcome. I have your site pulled up.
So this one again is the bleach splatter. So this is the elements, kind of a reinterpretation of all of the elements put together. And it's like a full length skirt. I think I call it the gathered element skirt on my website. And the thing about that I love, I'm obsessed with ruching. So you can untie it and let it be like just a straight A-line skirt, or you can tighten up the sides and give it a little extra something, some more detail. I do it a lot. The ruching I do a lot with like shorter skirts that have different points and angles to them. And I just think that ruching makes your butt look amazing. So everyone should have it. Let's see. And then this is probably my most popular item. Get it a little better on the hanger here. This is the moon phase cardigan. This is the back of it. So
okay, I'll add that to my wish list too.
I love this one. It's just a huge oversized item that just drapes on your body.
Oh, I love comfy, flowy stuff.
Have like a little detail of the elements. I love the elements. So yeah, and then, this is one of my favorites too that I'm wearing here. I kind of love it because you can pop out of it and have a longer sleeve item. Or if you need to get down to business and you need your hands free, you can go in there. So this is the 3-crow poncho, I think is what that one's called on there. Yeah, that's a little summary of kind of basically what I have. I mean, there's over 100 listings on my main website, so there's a lot of choices. And if there's anything that you see that you're like, I like this, but I want it with that print, you can always reach out to me, and I'm happy to do that.
Kind of like what I just mentioned about the whole wolf and hat thing, basically.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, I've already seen 2 things already that I'm going to want from her, so.
That's fair.
I appreciate it.
That's fair.
And I was looking at the rest of your things on your site too, and you have a lot of beautiful things. Like you have stuff with serpents, which I love. You have stuff with your crows, like you said, your elements, moon phasing, triple moon goddess.
Yeah.
You have stuff with ferns and plants, which is really nice too. So yeah, I'm already a big fan from what I see. A lot of the stuff you make, I would wear.
So, Melanie, what has been probably the most challenging about running Wings of Sin?
Um, I love being my own boss. I love making my own schedule. I love all of that. But running a clothing business, just me, everything is just me. It's hard because you never know. There's seasons for, big sales are happening here, and I've got all these events going on over here. And then there's like this time period where it's like nothing and I'm just surviving. So it's the ups and the downs are probably the most challenging. Like I said, I've been doing this for 18 years, so I've gotten good at knowing when the ups are happening and when the downs are happening, so I can prepare for survival. Which right now, January and February are my quietest times of the year. So I use that to be creative, work with people on things, and, spend time doing what I love. And try not to focus on the fact that my sales are kind of down. But yeah, that's probably the most challenging. It's the ups and the downs. It's just a roller coaster.
Right. Now, real quick too, I noticed, I think it was a couple days ago, you were mentioning like you were been working on some new product or designs, or maybe both or something. I mean, I know you probably don't have any to really show for like the video thing itself, but for those that may want to have like a little sneak peek of like what you've been, I'll just say brewing.
I actually can give you guys the very first view of one of my new lines.
Uh-oh.
I've got it right over here.
Dun, dun, dun.
So it's going to be hard to see it on video chat, but I'm breaking out of the world of black into red. 18 years, I've only sold black, and now I've got this. So my caftans, this is just going to look big and blobby on here, but my caftans are really the most comfortable things. I love wearing them. And I've decided that I'm going to go and do this red one here. And as you can see, I do OM printing on them. So, whole thing, it's just this really long, drapey, cozy piece with these huge open sides. I love them for, I'm a dancer and I do live performances, and I wear them as cover-ups. I wear them, they're great for like the beach cover-ups. They're great for rituals, and they're great for just wearing around your house and feeling absolutely fabulous and comfortable. I sold a lot of them in 2020 to people that were like stuck in their apartments in New York City. And they were just like, well, I'm going to be comfortable and I'm going to look amazing with this caftan and my martini. So that was probably when it became the most popular.
That's fair. That's fair.
So yeah, that's
anything,
the red line, and I've got a few other pieces going. And then I also will have more of my usual black designs as well. And yeah, I think I'm doing 2 more photo shoots, and I should have that released probably by mid-February.
Perfect. Perfect.
I will have to agree with her that they are one of the coziest things that you can wear, because I have a black one. And basically, if I'm not going anywhere and I'm home, I'm basically living in it. Because it's so comfortable and it looks like really good on you and stuff like that, and you just feel really witchy and stuff in it. It's just really comfortable.
I don't know why they look so good. They're basically a giant sack, but I always call them sexy sacks. It's a giant sack, but you look sexy as hell in it. Yeah, they're pretty great.
Yeah, you can wear them off shoulder if you want to. Wear them off shoulder, which is what I do with mine. Mm-hmm. You know, you've seen it on me. I usually wear it off shoulder and stuff because
Yeah.
that's how I like to wear it, because I have a pentacle and a rose in my zodiac on my right shoulder. So I wear a lot of my stuff, well, off shoulder.
I get it. Doing the same.
But yeah, they're like one of the comfiest things ever, and I don't know, you just look really good in them.
Yeah, they're great. I love them. And I do it all in a rayon spandex fabric that is, I call it home away from home because it's so comfortable. You can just exist in it. It's great.
Perfect. So,
Well, that's fantastic that you're branching out and trying new colors and stuff, like coming out of the black, even though everybody loves black. I think about 80% of my wardrobe is black.
Mm-hmm.
And then the rest of it is like a hunter green color or a forest green color.
Yeah.
which is what I was just about to ask you. Like, so Melanie, I'm surprised we haven't heard like dark forestry green in your inventory yet.
I went with red because, like I said, I'm a dancer, and my dance partner is she is just like one of those red queen women with the long flowing red hair and always wears red. And for her birthday, I made her a full length red outfit, and I loved it so much that I was like, oh, I'm doing red. Oh, that's how that happened.
So my question for you is, say if I wanted you to do something for me customly, but I'd want it a different color fabric other than black or red, would you do something forest green for me?
So availability can be tricky on the colors that I use, or on the colors of the fabric that I use, because I stick to the same types of fabric. I can tell you right off the top of my head, they don't have a forest green in that rayon, which is really sad. It only comes in black, red, and white. And the heavier cotton one that I do doesn't have the richest of colors. So I'd have to check that on the green. But the one problem that comes along with customs, I will customize certain things, but I won't make new patterns for something. So I won't like make an entirely new outfit for someone, but I will like maybe add a hood or change a color or whatever. But then when I go into that world, I'm paying full retail price because I'm not buying it in bulk. So it will adjust things a little bit. So it costs me more to make it. And it takes a little bit longer because I've got to get it shipped to me and such. But yeah, I'm always open to discussion, but I can't always guarantee that I can do it.
Okay. Very good.
Also, the dye removal that I do really just works best on black. So the red that I did here with the OM, I actually hand painted that with black silk screening ink. So
I'm pretty sure that like the things that I like from you are predominantly black with that kind of rustic effect on it. What do you call it?
The splatter, like bleach stain.
Yeah, the splatter bleach stain. Can't even talk today. But yeah, I mean, I love black predominantly, but I've been wearing a lot more forest green and stuff because like I've been hearing it from like everybody, like, why are you always wearing black? Why don't you wear like a different color or something like that? And I'm like, well, to be honest with you, I wear a lot of black because it's a shielding color. And it, protects you from unwanted negative energies and things like that. And a lot of people that I go around on a day-to-day basis, I don't want their energy interfering with mine. So I wear a lot of black to shield myself from that kind of energy. But I've been wearing like black and forest green a lot. But that's my explanation to my mom, my family, and everything why I would wear so much black is because, well, this is why.
Absolutely.
And they're like, oh, so that's why. And I'm like, yeah. I mean, besides, most people look good in black,
Yeah, it's just flattering on
It's a
top of it all.
very flattering palette.
Well, perfect. So, Melanie, to kind of somewhat get to the wrapping up part. So another thing you and I were discussing, because you wanted to kind of bring it up too, is so now that it's your slow time of the year and stuff, you actually also um you're also looking to network with other people. So could you elaborate more of like what you are, I guess, looking for networking wise?
Yeah. So over the years, I've worked with different artists and just businesses and friends that do unusual things, and we come up with some weird idea that we can use to, build each other up, basically. So how do we bring together what we both do and create something new and benefit both of the sides, So not necessarily creating new product, which I've done that before, where Hag Craft Farm is the first one that comes to mind. For a few years, she makes clothing and then she sends it to me, and I do the textile printing on it, and then we have this collaboration together. I also do collaborations where, like, I send items to different models that do kind of unusual photography and things like that, and they create art using my clothes. I've worked where, like, Practical Magic in Essex Junction, Vermont. I've gone to her store and photographed my pieces with all of her different, like, witchcraft items and stuff like that. Or I've set up shop and did a pop-up at Inkwell Emporium in Burlington, and Revolve Pole Dance Studio in Burlington as well. So I am really open to, like, what fun thing can we do together that will benefit us and benefit the, people around us. And I don't know, whatever you like. What if someone is like, oh man, I really love to work with her and do this, like, send me ideas. I love hearing it. And it doesn't have to be local. I work with people. I've gotten people in, like, Sicily, Croatia, like, all over the world that I've worked with. So I love other artists, and I love working with people, and I love creating. So I really just want to focus on that a lot. That's a big draw for this year, is I want to be more creative with people rather than just, this is my sewing room around me. This is where I spend a good portion of my day. So I'm here in my own little world, unless I'm traveling around and doing shows. So it would be nice to actually work with other people and come up with new things and have these conversations and do stuff. So if anyone thinks of something that they want to do, always feel free to reach out with me, and we'll see what happens.
So if I wanted to request maybe like a faux zip hoodie, would you? I don't know. I don't know the step to this, I guess, for when it comes to stencil wise. But if I were to ask, maybe we could do like the the splattered bleach design. I think that's what it's called. But if we were to take that and let's just say, like, just for the sake of this conversation, but make it like I don't know, like a ghost in the back of the shirt, and then I don't know what we could use as a left chest, I guess. Maybe like a weird combination of wing, like, I don't know. You know what? This at the top of my head. You know what? Screw it. Let's just say it like this. How about the left chest design is like the Vermont state, but with wings on each side, so to help represent, haunted Vermont and Wings of Sin.
I like that. That's fun. So I will definitely preface this by saying I don't actually draw. I don't make these. I make the stencils, but I don't do the drawings that they're based on. So, but I can pretty much make a stencil out of any basic kind of art that can be made into a silhouette. So, like, right now I'm working. I can't fully release the details on this because it's still quiet, but I'm doing
You're just doing a secret project. We'll just leave it as that.
Project with another artist that I'm really excited about, and she she's a puppeteer. That's as much as I'll say. She's a puppeteer, and I'm creating something using her puppet imagery.
Ooh.
So if the art exists, I can make it into a silhouette style. So
Craig.
and you can do some cool art. So
my buddy Craig Shortley, who I've worked with, he had done my Haunted Vermont designs. So this is his Emily's Bridge take by using my my Emily's Bridge photo that I had taken a couple years ago. So I sent him my original photo, and he took that image and he basically made Emily's Bridge for me.
That's awesome.
He's done quite a bit of Haunted Vermont design for me. So, like, I guess, Melaney, you might, if I can get a silhouette of a ghost for you, and I'm trying to figure out how we could maybe make that left chest work. The one that I'm thinking of, like a Vermont with wings or something. That's I don't know how I just thought of that, but I was thinking Winds of Sing, wings, Vermont, Haunted. Anyway, yeah. I'll reach out to you. Yeah. So real quick before I have two other questions, I guess for people like Tessa here that has already been visiting it, but for those that may not know, what is your website for people that would love to check out the what was it? 97 more product that we didn't really get to, or sorry, 90. Yeah, 93. We'll just say 93 because you haven't released your red wine yet. So yeah, I was right. Anyway, what is your website for people to venture and go look that up?
So my full line is available on wingsofsindesigns.com. I also have an Etsy store, but it's a little bit more limited. So if you want to see everything that I have available, that's going to be on wingsofsindesigns.com. For locals, I've got my altar cloths are available at Practical Magic in Essex Junction, Vermont. And I also do wholesale. So that's through Fair if anyone wants to carry my line in their store. But I do have a wholesale account in Vermont with Phoenix Gifts in Pulteney. So they just placed their first order a couple months ago, and I'm actually working on a new order for them right now, and that's going to get shipped out probably later this week. So they'll be restocked soon as well.
Perfect. Well, before I ask the last two questions, which is pretty much like a default question for Haunted Vermont, but Tessa, is there anything else that you would like to ask Melaney before we wrap things up?
No, not really. I think I've asked her everything I want to ask her. So go ahead and ask your last question. I'm actually more curious as to what she's going to think of
Yeah. I get it.
my decorum over here. Witch to witch.
Behind the scenes becoming better friends kind of thing after this.
Oh, yeah. Yep. Absolutely.
So, Melaney, the last couple questions I got is when it comes to paranormal, or in this case, cryptid, we'll just throw, it can be both, really, but what is your opinion about the whole paranormal cryptid stuff?
Oh, my opinion. That's such a big question. Basic opinion. Is it real? Is it not real? Is that what you mean? Or
yeah, how do you, yeah.
I have had way too many experiences in my life to doubt any of it. And I'm so open-minded, even things I've never experienced or things that sound so out there at this point. I'm just like, who knows? It's probably, I don't know. It's probably real.
He always likes to find one question that puts the person right on the spot. He always has that one question that makes people go,
I got the second question right here, which will be the counterpart to this one, which is, Melaney, do you have a one or two quick stories that you could share of something that that has happened to you that kind of made you start to think that there's more to this world than like what it appears? Like, is there any sort of experiences that you remember that like just really stick to you to this day?
I have a lot of those. A lot of those.
Okay, so narrow it down to maybe one or two.
I mean, I grew up in a family that was, I wouldn't say we were, particularly like superstitious or very open about stuff like this, but I do remember when I was a little girl driving with my grandmother, and I don't even remember the whole basis around this. I just remember my grandmother saying, "Do you see that man over there?" While we were driving past him. He was standing under a tree. And I said, "Yes." And she said, "He's dead." So right there, as a small child, my grandmother was like, "Ghosts are real. That's one right there. And you can obviously see them as well." So that was kind of, I was little and I was like, okay, so this is normal. This is what normal is. And I think that was part of things that kept me open, was the fact that other people around me just accepted it as what life is. So I never got that doubt in my head. But then when I lived in Oregon, I used to live in this house that had the spirit of a woman named Emily in it. Excuse me, Amelia. I didn't mean to say, I was Emily's Bridge. I had that in my head. So I lived with, she was like a roommate to all of us. It was like so normal. She would open the curtains to our bedrooms if we overslept, so the sun would wake us up or things like that. She was always like this roommate that was always kind of taking care of us. So it just became, the spirit part of it became so normal to me that I've just always accepted it. And then, like I said, the Fae, I've been working with them since I was a small child, and they're always around. I could go on for a very long time, so I will stop.
Well, maybe we can have you back on for part 2 where you can talk about, I guess, your experiences or something. No, that's all fun and games. But yeah, so Melaney, so once again, thank you for your time, and thank you for bearing with me with the technological difficulty that we were having here. And Ryder says hi to everybody that's watching video and stuff, because Ryder always has to come bug his daddy when I'm in the quote office, because if he's not bugging me, then I think there's an issue going on here. So, but for everybody else, again, I just want to point out wingsofsindesign.com again to check out all of the amazing stuff that Melaney has to offer. And so for Tessa, thank you for joining me. And
of course, it was fun. I've missed it. And it was, and of course, always a pleasure to talk with you, Melaney.
Yes, very much.
And for everybody else, I guess, keep your eyes open, because you just never know if the apparition will appear in front of you.